Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are back with a Monday Night Raw review for the October 21st, 2019 edition of Monday Night Raw. And playing in the background of my review today will be a 20-man Royal Rumble match. This Royal Rumble match consists of 20 of Raw's top superstars that were acquired through the draft this past week on Monday Night Raw. And we're going to find out who is the best star on Monday Night Raw, because WWE 2K19 has all kinds of bearing on who's the best on Monday Night Raw. But anyway, let's get straight into this Monday Night Raw for October 21st, 2019. Raw this week kicked off with the legendary Ric Flair. He came out to introduce the final member of Team Flair for the upcoming 5-on-5 tag team match at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, Team Flair versus Team Hogan. And after a bit of talking by Ric Flair, and nobody really understood what he was saying because he's so old and isn't the best anymore, we introduced the final member of Team Flair, and it was determined to be Drew McIntyre. McIntyre returned to Raw for the first time in a little over a month from an injury, and McIntyre cut a brief promo about being on Team Flair before Ricochet's music hit, and he came out for a match with Drew McIntyre, and this match was everything you would expect from these two. It was a great match, but even though it was a great match, it was more of a showcase for Drew McIntyre, and that's exactly what it was. McIntyre ended up getting the pinfall at the end of the match from his patented Claymore kick, and then after the match, McIntyre continued the beatdown on Ricochet and sent him into the steel steps, and was booed out of the building because Ricochet is the underdog babyface in that scenario, and McIntyre is the heel. But nevertheless, McIntyre looked great, and hopefully the match at Crown Jewel will be a good showcase for him. But it probably won't. I'd see this 5-on-5 match at Crown Jewel only going one way, and that has to be Team Hogan winning, because Team Flair is consistent of all babyfaces, and Team Hogan is consistent of Team Flair is all heels, and Team Hogan is all babyfaces. And because it's a Crown Jewel audience that wants to see only the top stars, and Roman Reigns being on Team Hogan, I see that being how the match turns out. Team Hogan will go over, Roman Reigns will most likely get the pinfall victory for his team. But anyway, that's my Crown Jewel predictions come out next week. Anyway, let's keep going through Monday Night Raw. Next up, Aleister Black in an appearance on Monday Night Raw in a match where another showcase match for Drew McIntyre. He defeated local competitor Jason Reynolds quickly and in several seconds, and I think this was a great showcase for him again. Squash matches, I think, will help Black get over in the long run with the audience. He has to stop doing those dumb backstage promos in a dark room without a shirt on. Like that just needs to stop. Okay, like he'll do better if he's in the ring. And that Black mass kick finisher, man, that is an out of nowhere boy popping finisher that will get over really quick with the audience if it's not over already, and I'm really excited to see the future for him going forward. Next up on Monday Night Raw, we had the King's Court. Jerry Lawler hosting the King's Court with Rusev. And I've said that, and you can probably tell where they went with this. It was Rusev talking about everything going on with Lana and Bobby Lashley and this whole love triangle storyline that sucks anyway. And then after some talking and Rusev blaming Lashley for everything going on with Lana, Lana and Lashley appeared on the Titantron, and they interrupted him from some fancy restaurant in Cleveland. Lana said some stuff about Rusev not fulfilling her needs. Lashley said stuff about he was the one that could do that. Quote by Lashley, "Out with the old, in with the new." And Lana said something about Rusev not knowing anything about fancy restaurants, so he would never find them. But WWE had to say, "Oh, Rusev knows exactly where they are," and we would see that play out later because Rusev did know where they were. Just want to touch on the storyline for a moment. Yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry, this storyline's terrible. Like, I mean, it does kind of fit into that so bad it's good category, but even then, it's just cringy and just terrible. Like, sometimes, there have been some nights where, yes, it'll be so bad it's good, I can laugh at it, but other nights, it's just bad. Like, it's just bad, and I want to turn off my TV and move on. But yeah, we'll see what happened, follow up to that storyline later on in the evening. But next up, we had a showcase match for Andrade facing off with Sin Cara. Sin Cara returning to WWE for the first time in a long time. And another good match. This the direction I've seen Raw going recently is it's going to be a show that has not the greatest storylines, but great matches. Just a couple guys go out there for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes and just put on a nice little match, and that's exactly what you got here. Andrade did look good in this match. The only problem being if Sin Cara is not a big enough star to have this win be super impactful. But even then, even so, I think Andrade will benefit from this win, and we'll start climbing up that ladder of Monday Night Raw, and hopefully start getting championship matches because we know he deserves them and we know he's great. Andrade is an incredible superstar. He and Zelina Vega are an incredible team. They work really well together. And yeah, that's the future for Andrade looks bright. Hopefully, if WWE can, build a star, which, as I talked about on my last Raw review, they're not very good at doing. But regardless, moving on, we had the Viking Raiders in their own showcase match against Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, the new Raw Tag Team Champion Viking Raiders. And this was a good match. The problem being that Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins got way too much offense in on the new Raw Tag Team Champions that WWE booked last week to be these incredible monster big guys that were just going to squash through all the competition. And that was not at all what it was here. Ryder and Hawkins worked over Eric for a long time. And there was barely any ring time for Ivar, and there was just too much back and forth for this match, and it really dampened the Viking Raiders, and it hurt their image. And can they rebound? Of course they can, if they're booked right, but not a great show for them. So, as a result of this, it was a match because we needed time to fill, and there was more time to fill than this match should have taken up, but I think it'll be good, and I think in the long run, the Viking Raiders will look good. I think they will win the huge Tag Team Turmoil World Cup thingy at Crown Jewel with all those teams in it that nobody has any investment in, aside from the New Day and Heavy Machinery, which are the only two good teams in WWE right now. The Revival, just keep getting buried, and the OC are boring. Like, yes, AJ's great. He's a great U.S. champion, but there hasn't been anything interesting with them. And they need an interesting story going forward. And I think that, I don't know, we'll see what happens. We'll get to talk about more about the OC in the main event. But then we had the follow-up from the King's Court with Rusev. Rusev arrived at the restaurant, and a bunch of stuff happened. Rusev and Bobby Lashley got into it a little bit, and after throwing a bunch of tables all over the place and people screaming and restaurant members screaming and yelling at people to be arrested, Rusev was arrested and taken off to jail. Lana, for some reason, just kept yelling at the police to arrest Rusev, and that's exactly what happened. And then Bobby Lashley just stood back and comforted Lana to end the segment. And okay, this happened. I don't have anything else to say about this. It was a thing that happened, and that's about it. Next up, Rey Mysterio returned to Monday Night Raw after being on TV last week. They billed this as his return, and after he didn't leave, like, he wasn't gone at all. He was on SmackDown to build to the Brock Lesnar-Cain Velasquez match, and that's all this was. Rey Mysterio talked about how he was training Cain Velasquez, getting him ready to face Brock at Crown Jewel. Paul Heyman interrupted on the Titantron and talked more about the match between Velasquez and Lesnar coming up. He promised that Lesnar would deliver pain to Velasquez and Mysterio, and then Mysterio, like he tried to do a few weeks ago before he got beat up by Lesnar, took the shine away from Paul Heyman, took the spotlight away, and interrupted Paul. But before he could get any more words in, Shelton Benjamin came out to the ring, and at first, I think most people were perplexed as to why this was happening. I think nobody expected Shelton Benjamin, a guy who has been so devalued by WWE, to come out in a segment like this. But Benjamin explained how he trained with Brock Lesnar back in Minnesota. He helped train Brock Lesnar to become a wrestler back in Minnesota. And he talked about how it didn't seem fair that Lesnar could just come in, beat up Rey Mysterio, and get a world title match. So, using that flawless logic by Shelton Benjamin, he started pushing Rey Mysterio around a bit here, a bit there. The funniest part of this, and it was subtle, but I loved it, is he pushed Mysterio once, so it was like, oh, is that enough for a U.S. title shot? Pushed him again. It's like, oh, that's the Intercontinental title. And it's like, it was funny because it showed how much the championships are valued, or how not valued, I guess. The U.S. title means nothing. The Intercontinental title is bigger than that, but still means nothing. Still really doesn't have any value for them. And the world title is really all that matters. The mid-card titles don't really have any point. And Sheldon kept bullying Ray for a little bit, kept asking, like, where's Cain? Where's Cain Velasquez? And, of course, Cain Velasquez came out and basically beat up Shelton Benjamin and threw him out of the ring and checked on Ray as Shelton Benjamin retreated to the back of the locker room. The only thing I noticed here was Velasquez was trying to do a combination of MMA and throwing fake wrestling punches, and neither of which came across well. He tried to do both and got neither to go over well. But regardless, he still got over a week. And where do I see this Lesnar-Velasquez match going? I don't know. I honestly have no idea where this match is going to go. But, yeah, let's get on to the semi-main event. It was Seth Rollins versus the newest Raw acquisition, Humberto Carrillo. I liked this match. Most people didn't like this match. I really liked this match. While it was just an extended squash for the Universal Champion that everybody hates, I thought Carrillo looked really good. I am the exception in the sense that, like, I bought into a lot of the false finishes that Carrillo got on Seth Rollins, but in the end, Seth won, which is not surprising at all. Carrillo has no connection with the audience to make this match at all impactful, and I think that was the problem that brought this match down in terms of, like, getting a grade. And, of course, the fans have no connection to Carrillo and hate Rollins, or are just bored of him, so this match really never got off the ground. Rollins and Carrillo worked hard. They went quickly, 100 miles per hour, but there was just no heat for the match, and that really hurt it overall. But regardless, Carrillo looked good. I think he can be a really good star on Raw, just in terms of wrestling ability alone. And boy, I don't know what WWE's going to do with Rollins. They've got to do something to rehabilitate Seth. Like, they just need to. Like, Seth is so lame. And the other thing that came out of this segment was that the Firefly Funhouse returns this Friday on SmackDown. Now, as much as I hated Seth burning down the Funhouse, how does WWE explain that it's back so soon? Like seriously. Like, the Funhouse is burned down and gone. Are they going to explain that it's a figment of Bray's imagination? But then how could Seth burn it down? How could Seth burn down something that's a figment of Bray's imagination? Like, it doesn't make sense. This whole story doesn't make sense. But I don't know where they go with this. Again, this goes back to who wins at Crown Jewel, Bray or Seth. Probably Bray. Or, excuse me, probably Seth. Like, do I want Bray to win? Yes, of course. Do I think he will? No. Because WWE has this stigma of, like, Seth is their top guy on Raw, and they're going to stick with him no matter what the fans think. Seth is getting the Roman Reigns treatment, and it's not going well. Like, remember when Roman Reigns was shoved down our throats for 3 years? Like, I loved Roman, don't get me wrong, but yes, he was pushed down our throats a lot, and the fans booed him and rejected it. And they've done the same thing with Rollins, just somehow in a shorter time span, and I can't even fathom that. How it's happened with Seth Rollins. But Seth needs to turn heel. I think it's the bottom line. His heel character was so much better back in 2015, 2016, when he had the world title and was with the Authority. The Authority part sucked, but Seth was great. Seth was a great character at that time. But moving quickly along, we gotta get to the main event. It was the newest team on Raw, the Street Profits, versus the OC. Now, what was supposed to be a 6-man tag match with the Street Profits finding a mystery partner didn't happen. So the Street Profits came out, the OC came out, and it was announced, it's a tag team match with the OC accompanied by AJ Styles. And at first I was like, wait, what? Why is it only a tag team? It was supposed to be 6-man. I thought the same thing everybody else did. Where's the third man? And nothing happened. No third man came out. It was just Gallows and Anderson versus Ford and Dawkins. And it was a great match. The Street Profits are awesome. I love them. I love their characters. I love their entrance. Just having a party with the fans and the red cup. It's awesome. They're presented amazingly. And typical tag team match, just a little bit faster because Street Profits are so amazing and they elevate everything around them. But Styles watched from the floor, kind of interfered a little bit, and had Styles interfere on the outside a little bit. Referee noticed, threw out AJ. AJ jumps on the apron to protest, and then Kevin Owens' music hits. Owens made his return to Monday Night Raw, ran down to the ring, hit a stunner on AJ Styles. That took Styles out of the equation. Montez Ford made the tag to Angelo Dawkins. Dawkins hit a spinebuster on Anderson, tagged to Ford. Ford hit a beautiful frog splash on Anderson for the 1-2-3. Street Profits won their debut match in the main event of Raw. Here's what I have to say about this. The Street Profits are awesome. Bottom line, Street Profits, future Raw Tag Team Champions. They will win the Raw Tag Titles. I could see soon, maybe they hold off till something like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Ideally, I could see that happening, but who knows? Who knows where this goes? Also, they are setting up Kevin Owens and AJ Styles for the U.S. title, evidently, and I've seen a lot of people saying that yes, we've had this match before. We had it back in 2017, like 3 or 4 matches for the U.S. title, and they were good matches. Like, the problem with them back then was they had bad finishes. Like, either finishes were screwed up or they were booked weird, and that hurt the matches overall. But they were good. Owens and Styles work well together, and I think that'll be a really good match for the U.S. title. I hope it's, since we have had it so many before, I hope it's only like 1 or 2 at most. But we'll see what happens with that. Overall thoughts on Raw: it was a good show, better than last week. Last week's show was awful. I think Raw, overall, I would give it probably like a 7 out of 10. Main event elevated it. Main event elevated it. The Rollins-Correa match, regardless of what people think, it elevated the show. Mysterio's promo, the show ended well. Like, bang the Mysterio promo, bang Rollins and Correa, and the Street Profits to close out the show. The whole Lana, Rusev, Lashley thing is just awful. Viking Raiders not finishing off Ryder and Hawkins quickly was not smart booking. Andrade looked great. Aleister Black looked great. And, of course, the opening match, McIntyre and Ricochet, was awesome. So, overall, 7 out of 10 show. Setting up for looking towards SmackDown, we have a Firefly Funhouse segment coming up. and I honestly don't know what else. I haven't looked ahead to see what's booked for the show going forward, but yeah, and then future Raw programs, Street Profits and the OC, I see a 6-man tag coming next week, most likely. Owens and the Street Profits and the entire OC. And then Owens and Styles for the U.S. title. Not going to be a crown jewel because Styles is in the big tag turmoil World Cup thing. And so maybe Survivor Series. If Styles doesn't face off with Nakamura, which I would love to see Styles and Nakamura again. They kind of beat that one into the ground, yes, but I don't know, unless they give it to Reigns and Reigns faces Styles, which I would love that even more. One of my favorite feuds from 2016 was Reigns and Styles when they feuded for the WWE title. But we'll see where they go. So yeah, overall, 7 out of 10 show, good show. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you're wondering where my reviews of NXT, AEW, and SmackDown from last week are, I didn't see enough of the shows so that I could give an adequate review of them. So that's why you won't see a Raw review. I will be able to watch those shows this week, so I will be sending reviews of those. And then possibly after SmackDown, I will be giving my predictions and talking about Crown Jewel. Even though I don't really want to, it's not a show I'm going to watch or care about at all because nothing will matter at the end of the show. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As you can see in the match behind me, Andrade won the Royal Rumble. And how ironic, because Andrade won the Royal Rumble and then also won on Raw and was getting a push. So there you go. Andrade is the next big star on Raw and future Universal Champion. Bold prediction, future Universal Champion. And that's all I got to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you're new for more wrestling content. If you enjoy this sort of thing, there'll be much more to come. I will be coming out with some 2K gameplay and gameplay commentary of 2K19 soon. But yeah, that's the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. And this is Caleb Henson, signing off.